So I'm getting out about 8 in the morning here, and I could have left a little earlier. The goal being, even though it's a little chilly out, is to use that light, get to town, and get back. And I'm going to the further away town today to get cash out of a machine because I can finally do that for the first time in forever. But as I walk and notice where the light hits the forest in the beginning of the day, I'm reminded of a very important design thing you can do if you own a piece of land. And that is, at the summer solstice and the winter solstice, and both of the equinoxes, to go out and look at where light hits different parts of the land, the earliest and the latest. Now that early light is more important than the later light because it's coming at the coldest time of the day. It's warming things up quickly. And in my climate, we're trying to warm things up. Now, things would be very different if you were running air conditioning and trying to cool things down. That's a different problem set. And there are some places where it's too hot and too cold at different parts of the day or year. So I'm not going to get into those cases. In my case, I generally want to maximize use of that morning light. Now that morning light's going to be a different spot, slightly, in the summer solstice versus the winter, because the sun comes up in a different spot, depending on your latitude. And you can look up your latitude and figure that out. And in my case, I notice the sun hits right away in all this area up here, and it's not hitting quite as much down there, although I'm standing on the wrong side to see it. Anyway, there's a bunch of sun in this area. There's a ridge over there that there's part of it that's not getting any light yet, but gets plenty of light during the day. So this part's easy to figure out. Over in other parts of the land, it's not easy to figure out because the slope of the land is in different directions. So, and then late time sun, do we need to know about that as much? Well, yeah, actually. Like in the winter, the nights are long, and we would like to be outside at a fire pit potentially. We might as well build that fire pit in a spot that gets late day light, so it's light longer. It's just a little extra. It's not as important for heating, but I don't know, there's still value there. And you could also take pictures at those particular times of year. Those are special times, you can use them like a holiday and stuff too, but it's also an engineering question of like figuring out what resources you're working with the light and then maximizing those. Yeah, I should definitely take pictures and video at those times and really add that to my map. Also setting aside those morning light spots for buildings that have public services, so that as soon as it's morning, we have a building that's already being heated up with a fire and is already heated up in general, and then also that the light comes right into the building, the very first light of the day. Of course, sometimes it's cloudy, so there's not going to be any light to get in there, or barely any, but it'll work most of the time. We're not trying for perfect solutions, we're trying for a bunch of good solutions. Like, look at the light on this field over here. Now, I don't own this field, but this whole piece of land, big piece of land, would be great to buy to develop an entire community on. It has a number of fields like this cascading down a ridge. And so there's potential views from each one of those. Right now the view spot over there has a bunch of trees, which is really nice, but you would probably cut down that edge of trees, put a building there set back, and make a park along just in front of that area and then the slope. And then up in here, you'd actually want to cut a road that way into another property that you'd also want to buy, and it would go on slope and connect up with another spot. You've got a beautiful ridge of trees here that you protect. it's a very slopey piece of land, so it slopes way down that way. So it's not a ton of usable land, but it's a very park-like environment. It's also very close into town if we were able to buy some properties over there and be able to use that road. So in a lot of cases, a piece of land's value would be much higher if you were able to buy more than one piece near each other, so you could get actually access, better access. There's also a way to develop access to this one from below and make a road that goes way around there and then wiggles its way back up the other side of the ridge. I don't know. It'd be not a cheap piece of land. Like, we're talking $1 million or at least. And then, of course, developing a town on it is going to cost you millions more. So, yeah. My role is I can do the design on it. I could do the design now even on various properties around here. And then go to the property owner. Well, I could give them the design and say, hey, would be a great way to develop this land. But I'd rather not do that because I have things I want them to do, like make noise restrictions, and I don't want noisy neighbors, so I would hesitate to do that. I think I would rather make the design and then find buyers for pieces of land and have them make an offer, and I would only be helping buyers do that if they're agreeing to a set of how to be a good neighbor kind of rules. Those are difficult to enforce, and I'd just be setting myself up for conflict maybe. Although if they're not near me, I don't care as much. And there are pieces of land that I see as being useful for different uses, and useful for different uses. God damn, I'm eloquent. Like for somebody who wants to have a bunch of workshops or something, I know of land for sale right now that would be perfect for that. Somebody could buy it. I know of one for about $350,000 US. That would be great for retreats and stuff like that, and plenty of space to build. It has 14 acres, pretty flat. I think it's all flat. The buildings are maybe a little bit dilapidated, the existing ones. So there's opportunities laying around.